All right, our first tort is intentional tort. So we have two different types of torts, intentional and unintentional. Intentional torts are more so things you've heard of, but they all begin in the idea of the concept of rights. So the law of torts is grounded in your rights, people's rights. Everyone has certain rights that they're entitled to, and that falls under tort law. So your concept of rights include you want to be free of any bodily harm. You don't want people touching you, harming you in any way. Your reputation can be protected. People could be slandering you. That's not fair. So you can be protected under the law and not interfere in any of your business. So unwarranted interference, you can do your business without having to worry about that. If you have to, then you can bring them to court. So again, the concept of rights, law imposes a duty on all of us. We have to respect everyone's rights because of this. And this law then governs the interaction between people, the interplay between your rights and the duties. So the question is, what is an intentional tort? That's something that we need to be thinking about the whole time here. And an intentional tort are torts that are committed intentionally. Like I said, there's two different types, intentional and unintentional. We'll get to the unintentional ones later in the unit. But an intentional tort occurs when a person knows and desires the consequences of his or her act. They know what they're doing and possibly the harm that it could cause. So two terms that we've heard of before, assault and battery. The tort of assault occurs when one person deliberately leads another to believe that he or she is about to be harmed. Saying things, threatening, that person then believes they'll be harmed. Also, the tort of battery involves the unlawful, unprivileged touching. It doesn't have to cause physical harm. Okay? So the victim, again, doesn't have to actually have to go to the hospital. It could just be you poking someone, and they don't like that. They don't want that. The tort of assault is different from that crime of assault, so the victim of a tort of assault must know that the tortfessor meant to commit the harm. So we have to know that that person is doing it on purpose. A tortfessor is the person who committed the tort. So remember that term. Tortfessor is someone that committed the tort. We look at other torts, a trespass. You've heard of that. So the wrongful damage or interference to the property, going somewhere you're not supposed to. It doesn't always have to be damage, but just walking onto someone's property could result in trespass. A nuisance. So the tort of nuisance is something that interferes with the enjoyment of life. Loud parties at night all the time. Dogs barking all the time in their yard. Garbage everywhere. Something that is affecting the enjoyment of that person's life. So a quick quiz here. Read the scenario. Raymond slapped his wife Charlotte while they were arguing about child support. Which tort did Raymond commit? Assault or battery? All right, if you answered battery, then yes, because the physical contact there, the slap. Could assault occurred before? Yeah, maybe there was a threat beforehand. Next one. Which definition best describes a tortfessor? A, B, or C? If you answered B, a person charged with committing a tort, that's correct. It's not A because that's a crime, and it's not a person. All right, your next tort that we'll talk about, invasion of privacy. Interfering with a person's right to be left alone, which includes the right to be free from unwanted publicity and interference with private matters. Things that they don't want to be disclosed, that should be disclosed. It's private matters. Publicly displaying those, looking into someone's stuff without their knowledge and without them wanting to. Throughout this, some of these things might need to be added on your note sheet. False imprisonment does not have to mean being kept in jail. Usually this is not done by police. Police will follow the law. This is done by someone else to someone, intentionally wrongfully confine another person, locking them in a basement, keeping them confined in the car, not allowing them to leave. Okay. Other torts, infliction of mental distress and intentionally using words or actions that are meant to cause someone fright, maybe anxiety, distress. No injury is required. This is a mental thing. Okay, again, the defendant's conduct should be quite outrageous, and then the plaintiff must prove distress. So maybe constant threats when walking in the building here at school. Constant threats, you can't do this, you shouldn't do this, or else this is going to happen. And just the verbal threats that affect someone mentally and emotionally. So a quick review here, something to think about. What is the difference between a crime and a tort? Again, a crime is an offense against the public at large. That is something that the government and the police will deal with. A tort is a private wrong committed by one individual against another. They bring a lawsuit dealing with your rights. Number 2 here, what concept is the heart of tort law? First thing we discussed. And that is the concept of rights. Okay, tort law is grounded in your concept of rights. All right, 2 ways. How can a tort be committed? Intentionally and unintentionally. These were the intentional torts that we just discussed. We will get into some unintentional torts as well. And then let's think of some common intentional torts. Assault, battery, trespass, nuisance, false imprisonment, defamation, and invasion of privacy. Infliction of emotional distress is on there. We'll get to some of the other ones very soon in this unit. Last one here. If criminal law is responsible for dealing with individuals who commit wrongful acts, what purpose does tort law serve, and why do you need to understand the different intentional torts? The answer, tort law compensates victims. A lot of times they're looking for to pay for some damages, and in order to properly represent the client, the tortfeasor, the victim, an attorney must do that because there's a lot of different things they need to understand, and they want to directly help that individual for those different intentional torts. So the different intentional torts will bring different damages and different concepts that they need to understand, so they will do that.